Hello and welcome to all project managers and PMP Prince 2 aspirants. We at Knowlathon are bringing you a series which gives a proper and practical understanding of various tools and techniques used by project managers across industries. These tools and techniques also form a major part of the exams. We hope it helps you. Happy learning. This episode of Tools and Techniques Learnings, we are going to continue our journey through Agile fundamentals. As I have explained in the previous video, the part 1 video of Agile Fundamentals, the idea behind making this video is to help project managers who have not had any experience of working in Agile environments, Agile methodology based projects, to get a basic understanding of what is Agile, some basic concepts of Agile, some basic terminology of Agile, etc. So which gives them a understanding to engage with PMP or Prince 2 knowledge base when they are doing the course and their self-study, self-learning phase when they are preparing for the exams. Okay, so in the video, the first video, we have seen the fundamentals of Agile. We have seen what are the different concepts, how Agile started, what was the problem with the traditional way of doing projects, and why the need for Agile was felt and how it came about. What is Agile as a concept, and the features or the characteristics of the Agile, so Agile values, Agile principles, Agile frameworks. Okay, we have seen what is Kanban, Safe, Scrum, etc. Okay, these are some of the popular ones. Okay, and we concluded our last video saying that we'll take Scrum as an example to discuss further, to go into the details, so that because Scrum is the one which is widely used. Okay, so in today's episode, we are going to look at the Scrum roles, what exactly is Scrum, and different terminologies in the Scrum, and how typically a Scrum based project works. Okay, so let's first talk about some roles in the Scrum. Okay, as we are seeing on the screen, there are 3 roles in the Scrum. There is a Scrum Master, there is a Product Owner, and then there are developers. Okay, so let's look at it in detail. So typically in the Scrum structure, the teams are small, but they have a big impact, and there is one team which is cohesively working together, right? So Scrum is built on a small cross-functional team with 3 defined roles that work together or to deliver value iteratively. The key word here is the cross-functional. Okay, cross-functional is basically a team which is consisting of various skills and capabilities. We'll talk about it. So only 3 roles in Scrum, no sub teams within the Scrum team. There is no separate design team, separate development team, separate testing team, etc. It's one team. It may be small or a little bit bigger, but still it is one team which has got multiple talents, multiple skill sets, and they come together and deliver the project. Collaborate closely and respect each other's expertise. Accountable together for delivering the value. It is the team who is a team as a whole, as one single cohesive unit, who owns the delivery of the value, right? So these are the basically fundamental things that you need to understand about Scrum teams. Okay, there are 3 roles, as you can see: Product Owner, Scrum Master, and the development team. Okay, Product Owner is essentially a role which represents the voice of the customer and stakeholders, responsible for maximizing the value of the product. We'll see in detail what are the typical deliverables, or what are the typical activities, characteristics of a product owner. But as of now, just understand that product owner is somebody who owns the scope, what will be there in the product, what will not be there in the product, what will be delivered first, what will be delivered later, etc. There is a Scrum Master. A Scrum Master is basically a coach. Okay, the Scrum Master facilitates the Scrum process, coaches the team, and removes the impediments to help the team be productive and successful. So a Scrum Master is a role which inculcates that Agile mindset, Agile methodology, Agile way of not only doing things, but Agile way of thinking about things, right? And then there is a development team, which is a cross-functional professionals who are self-organizing and responsible for delivering a done increment in every sprint. They are self-organizing in the sense they are empowered, they are independent, they have been given certain responsibilities, they have been given certain authority. They come together and they take decisions and then they execute those decisions further. They are focused completely on delivering value to the customer in every iteration. So every iteration should bring some more value to the customer. They plan together, review together, and improve together in every sprint, right? So they do all these activities as one single cohesive unit. They plan. They are the ones who plan. They are the ones who review their work, and they are the ones who find out what improvements that need to be done. Okay, so the product owner, scrum master, and development team work together as a cohesive unit to achieve a common goal, right? So how they work together, share a common understanding of goals. Okay, in your PMP study or other areas also, you would have seen shared vision or something like that. So they have a common understanding of what is going to be produced and what is the goal. Collaborate throughout the sprint, inspect results and adapt continuously, deliver maximum value to the customer. So they take ownership of these activities. Okay, now let's look at each role in much more detail. So the product owner represents the voice of the customer and maximizes the value, right? The product owner is responsible for defining the product vision, managing the product backlog, and ensuring the team delivers the right value to the right stakeholders, right? So what is product backlog, etc., those terminologies we will see in the latter part of this video. Key responsibilities being, define and communicate the product vision and strategy, create and manage the product backlog, prioritize backlog items and maximize value, ensure the backlog is transparent, etc. Collaborate with stakeholders and the development team, continuously evaluate market, customer needs, and product value. So this person is basically the one who controls what will be there in the product, how it will be delivered, when it will be delivered, how the value should be maximized, etc. So this guy is the bridge between stakeholders and the Scrum team. Okay, so on one hand, you have all the stakeholder community, which will include your users, your senior managers, etc. And on the other hand, you have the Scrum team. So this guy is a connect or a bridge between these two areas. The authorities carried by the product owner are decides what will be built, decides why it should be built, the justification for what, and has the final say on product backlog priorities and acceptance. Okay, works with stakeholders, that is customers, users, business users, etc. Scrum master for process and team effectiveness, development team to clarify requirements and deliver value. Success metric is customer satisfaction, value delivered, and a well-managed product backlog. So how the role of the product owner will be evaluated, whether that person has played the role successfully or not, depending upon these criteria. Okay, so these are the key principles for the product owner. So you can just take a look at that. So the next role is the Scrum Master. Scrum Master is basically a servant leader. Servant leader is somebody who empowers the team and then takes a backseat and then allows the team to work. And then if the team faces any issues, any problems, person steps ahead, steps in front again, solves the problem, helps the team to solve the problem, and then the team continues. Okay, the Scrum Master is also the process coach, impediment remover. The Scrum Master ensures Scrum is understood, adopted, and enacted, where Scrum means the methodology. They help the team be productive and continuously improve, right? Key responsibilities are ensuring that the Scrum, the methodology or the entire mindset is understood and adopted, that is practiced. Remove impediments that block the team. Coach the team on self-organization and continuous improvement. Facilitate the various Scrum events, that is your planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, sprint retrospective, etc. Promote transparency, inspection, and adaptation. Coach the organization on Agile values and practices. Right. So basically, a role of a coach, somebody who teaches, somebody who inculcates the values, and then allows the people to work. Typically, a sports coach of a football team or a cricket team, right? The football coach or the cricket coach by himself or herself does not take part in the actual game, but they design the strategy, they give the training, they ensure that the people in the team go by the training and the strategy, etc. Servant leadership is a term that you will come across very often, especially in your PMP studies. A servant leader is the one who puts the team first, empowers the team and to find solutions, builds a trust and fosters collaboration, supports growth and learning. Right? Success metric to evaluate the role of the Scrum Master or the performance of the Scrum Master is effective Scrum adoption, happy and productive team, reduced impediments, and continuous improvement. Right? So impediments can be people, right? So on various fronts, there would be some problems. So people may not be available or people may not be cooperative. Processes may not be very efficient. Processes may be cumbersome. There may not be any defined processes at all on the other hand, right? Or the processes may be defined too tightly, too rigidly, right? Some tools are not working as they expected to be working. Organizational issues, right? Approvals are not coming up, etc. from people. So escalates when needed to remove roadblocks. Okay, so these are the hallmarks of a Scrum Master. These are the profile. These are the characteristics of a Scrum Master. And the third role is the developers. Cross-functional, self-organizing, focused on delivering value. So developers are the professionals who build the product. They are accountable for creating a done increment in every sprint. What is done? So we'll see that in a subsequent slide, but done here is a typical agile terminology, which means done, completed, accepted, successfully closed. Okay. So in every iteration, every increment or every Scrum iteration, some value is being added. At least maybe small or big, but some value, some additional value is being brought out. Key responsibilities include commit to sprint goals and plan how the work will be done, design, build, test, and integrate the product, deliver a done increment in every sprint, collaborate, learn, and continuously improve as a team, participate in all Scrum events and contribute actively, hold each other accountable for quality and commitment. Right. So these are the typical responsibilities of a Scrum team. Developers are basically self-organizing professionals who are mature, who understand, who are trained, and they take the ownership, they're committed, who work together to turn ideas into a valuable product increment, right? So they take the ideas and they develop the ideas into something which is tangible or kind of usable. Okay. Characteristics are cross-functional skills, self-organizing, collaborative, adaptable, committed, focused on the quality, and the continuous learners. This is a very important part of being a Scrum team developer or part of the Scrum team. You need to be focused on. You need to be very focused on future, right? What is working, what is not working, how to make it work, what best can be done, what better can be done, etc. They don't manage the team because they are the team. They manage themselves. They are not somebody who is managing another team. Do not decide prioritize because that is done by the product owner. They do not change the sprint goal. After every sprint planning is done and the sprint starts, that is the iteration starts. Before that, goals are defined. So during the sprint, during the iteration, the goals are not changed. Do not add work to the sprint. That is again not changing the work content decided or defined for the sprint. Do not focus on individuals. They focus on the team, right? The developers deliver value by understanding the requirement, building the solution, ensuring quality and done, delivering value in every sprint, and their work is appraised or evaluated based on their quality of the increments, achievements of their goals in every sprint, the velocity. What is the velocity? We'll see that in the one of the upcoming slides, and continuous improvement. So how good they are in implementing the continuous improvement environment. Okay. So these are the three roles. So three roles are basically a Scrum coach, a Scrum a product owner, and a Scrum team. Okay. So now this is as far as the team or the people part of the Scrum is concerned. Now let us talk about the process part or some events within the Scrum. Now there are some events which are specifically designed called sprint planning. Okay, plan the work for the sprint. Daily Scrum, that is inspect progress and adapt daily. Sprint review, inspect the increment and gather feedback. Okay, and sprint retrospective. And what is the sprint? It's a time boxed iteration. What is time boxed? A time is decided and defined, and that is final, right? So typically it is 2 weeks. Everybody even though people may not know about Agile much, but people know that a sprint lasts for 2 weeks typically, but ideally 1 to 4 weeks of time of a sustained and continuous activity, right? So retrospectives are done after the sprints are completed, where the introspection happens regards to what happened, how it happened, why it happened, whether it happened right or wrong, and what happened can be improved or what, right? So let's look at these events one by one. So as I said, sprint planning, daily scrum, sprint review, sprint retrospective, and the actual sprint that itself is a continuous event, right? The container for all work, time boxed iteration to deliver value, right? Key points to be remembered about a scrum or a sprint is it's a time boxed events, create consistency, empirical inspections drive better decisions. After every sprint, there is a inspection, there is a feedback session, which will have impact on your decisions. Adaptation leads to continuous improvement. You continuously keep adapting and you continuously evaluate what can be done better and how it can be done better. Focus is on value delivery and customer outcomes. In your PMP studies or even in Prince 2, outcome is a term which is now defined very, very clearly. The outcome of this entire process is the transparency, alignment, and continuous improvement in every sprint. Okay, so these are the basic events, or the 5 Scrum events in the Scrum methodology. Okay, let's look at them now. A sprint planning is basically purpose is select and commit the work from the product backlog. Now we have seen that there is something called the product backlog, which is the complete sum total of all the features and capabilities that will be delivered as part of this product. So scope basically, right? So sprint planning, before we go to the purpose, let's understand a few things. Sprint planning kicks off before the sprint. Every sprint has a sprint planning phase. Once you plan, then only you start the sprint. The team collaborates to define what can be delivered, that is product goal alignment, and how it will be done, that is sprint goal and plan. So purpose, define the sprint goal, create the plan to deliver the increment, etc. And who are the participants here? The complete team, right? The product owner, the development team, and the scrum master. All of them come together and do a planning. So what they do, what is one question that is answered, what can be delivered in this sprint? The complete product backlog is taken up. Only a part of that product backlog is then identified that will be part of the delivery of this particular sprint. Okay, the team selects the product backlog items that help. Okay, so basically it is not just the product owner who dictates to the team. They collectively work together and identify what will be taken out of that entire product backlog for this particular sprint and how will the work get done to meet the sprint goal. So the team breaks down the work, estimates, and creates a plan to deliver the increment. So this entire thing is to be delivered, these 4 things to be delivered, then they will be broken down into individual activities, smaller level details, estimations will happen for each level, and then the path will be designed. Okay, a shared understanding of the work, a sprint goal, and a plan to achieve it. This is the result of the sprint planning, right? Key details, it is a time boxed event, maximum 8 hours for a 1 month sprint, usually shorter for shorter sprints, occurs at the beginning of every sprint, results in sprint goal and sprint backlog. So now out of the product backlog, this becomes my sprint backlog, right? Collaborative, everyone participates and contributes. Focus is on transparency, commitment, and realistic planning, right? So, so because there is a specific goal, the team can focus specifically on those ideas, those areas. Okay, so this is the sprint planning. Okay, if you are successfully doing the sprint planning, you will end up with a clear sprint goal, committed work in the sprint backlog, and confidence in the plan to deliver value. And people, needless to say, that everybody is part of the decision making. People have a greater feeling of ownership. Okay, so this is what happens in the sprint planning. Okay. Now let's move on to the next one. The sprint itself now, a time boxed iteration to create value. The sprint is the heartbeat of the scrum, right? That is where the activity happens. Everything revolves around that particular iteration, right? So it is time boxed period during which a done increment is created. As I said, done means something which can be tested, something which has been tested, and something which has been accepted by the customer as a done deliverable. Right? The team selects work from the product backlog during sprint planning. The developers build, test, and integrate to create the increment. The team inspects progress daily scrum, and adapts the plan as needed. At the end of the sprint, a potentially shippable done increment is delivered. The team reflects and improves through the sprint review and sprint retrospective. So you do the plan, you build the product and collaborate daily. You inspect the progress daily, which is your daily scrum, and adapt the plan. You review the increment and adapt the product backlog, and then you retrospect after the sprint is completed. You retrospect and reflect on how the sprint went and identify improvements. Okay. Who participates in the sprint? The product owner, the scrum master, and the development team. Again, all of them are part of this. Development team is the one who actually does the most of the work, but scrum master is there to ensure that the team has everything what it needs and remove the impediments, and the product owner basically will have a supervision kind of a thing where it defines what is most valuable and available, etc. Right? Key details: time boxed, maximum 4 weeks, commonly 1 to 2 weeks, consistent, same length each time for predictability. So every time there will be same number of weeks or same number of days that will be part of your sprint in a given project. No changes once the sprint goal is decided, defined, and the sprint starts. There is no change within the sprint. It's very focused work, no changes to the scope, and outcome is a done increment, right? So a done increment that provides value and brings us closer to the product goal is the success indicator of a sprint. So the next one is the daily scrum. What is daily scrum? Daily scrum basically is kind of the word scrum means basically a kind of a meeting where it is done in a very quick and shortest possible way, but productive. Okay. So daily scrum is a 15-minute time boxed event for the development team to synchronize activities and create a plan for the next 24 hours, right? What is the purpose? Inspect the progress towards the sprint goal and adapt the plan as needed. So what has happened till yesterday, what we are going to do today, and how it is going to lead us to tomorrow, right? How it works, key details: time boxed, frequency is every working day of the sprint, when, at the same time and place each day, and format, it's an event and not a status meeting. Keep it short, focused, and on track. Okay. Generally, it is done standing up. People will not sit around. They will just stand up. They will discuss 15 minutes quick discussion, and that's it. So the development team answers 3 questions. What did I do yesterday that helped the team meet the sprint goal? So what went right? What did I do right? What will I do today to help the team meet the sprint goal? What will I do today to take us further? And what impediments are in my way? So are there any recognized issues which will stop me from achieving my goals? Okay. So those things will be discussed, and focus is on the work and the sprint goal and not on individual status. People don't talk about have you done your work, have I done my work? No, as a collective team, as a kind of a collective responsibility, have we been doing this right? Benefits are: increases the transparency of progress, improves alignment within the team, identifies impediments early, enables quick adaptation of the plan, right? So all these things are enabled because of a quick 15-minute time boxed event called daily scrum. The participants are again the development team, the scrum master, and the product owner. All of them come together. Okay. Outcome is a shared plan for the next 24 hours and visibility of impediments. Okay. Generally start and end on time, stand up if possible, and keep it to 15 minutes. Stay focused on the 3 questions. What are those 3 questions? What did I do? What did I do yesterday that helped the team to meet the sprint goals? What will I do today that will take me further? And are there any impediments in my way? Okay, these are the 3 questions which are the heart of this particular daily scrum. Okay, so the next one is sprint review. So it's again a time boxed event at the end of the sprint. So once you complete the sprint, that is your iteration, to inspect the increment and gather feedback from stakeholders. It helps adapt the product backlog for maximum value. Purpose is inspect the done increment, that is you have produced something, you have say some features are being delivered as part of this particular sprint. So you do the inspection, you give the demo of that particular thing. If you can see here, there is an increment that is being produced by this sprint, which is being demoed to the people who are the stakeholders, etc. Again, time boxed, maximum 4 hours for a 1 month sprint, shorter for a shorter sprint. When at the end of every sprint, before the retrospective, who attends? Development team, product owner, scrum master, and stakeholders and customers. So these are the additional audience now. Focus is on the increment and value delivered. Future work is discussed and not the past performance. Okay, we identify whether it is working or not working. If there is any additional features, feedbacks, etc., that need to be taken up, that is only discussed. How it works? Prepare the team. The team prepares the increment and environment. The team demonstrates the done increment and explains what was delivered. Discuss with the stakeholders. Stakeholders provide feedback and ask questions. Product owner updates the product backlog based on the feedback and learning. Okay. What it achieves is stakeholder feedback is captured, transparency on value delivered, product backlog is reprioritized and refined, alignment on what to build next. Okay. So now if there are any feedback which are supposed to take precedence over what is already there in the backlog, it will be added to the backlog and it will be expedited, so that those feedback items will come at the top of the product backlog and other items will be pushed down, right? I always like to give an analogy from the restaurant. You go to a restaurant, you order food, right? You might have to wait for, say you order some roti and some side dishes, etc. You wait for 15-20 minutes. Okay, you get your food on your table, you start eating it, right? Now all of you, let's say 5 or 6 of you are there and all of you have finished your rotis, etc., and you want more rotis. Do you have to wait another 15-20 minutes for the next round of rotis? No. Okay, so what happens is that the next round of rotis will come probably in 4 or 5 minutes or 3 to 5 minutes, and then you will continue with your thing. So what happens is that the person who is taking your order will go into the kitchen and say 5 more rotis running, right? Earlier the order was new order, now it is a running order. So whatever is running is going to be taken up at the highest priority, and those who are yet to get food on their table will have to wait for you. After you get your food, your rotis, etc., they will get their food, right? So here also it's something similar. Once the customer gives a feedback on something which is already delivered, and then those feedback items will be reprioritized. Again, just because it's a feedback, it will not go to the top of the product backlog. It will have to be reprioritized based on the real value of it, right? And then it will be taken up for the next sprint if at all it requires highest this thing. So these are the typical activities. Who participates? We have seen this: development team, product owners, stakeholders and customers, and Scrum team. It ensures transparency and visibility of progress, validates what we are building, whether we are building the right product. Every early feedback reduces risk and waste, drives better product decisions, and maximizes value. Okay, so this is a typical sprint review which happens at the end of the sprint. Okay, a validated increment and an updated prioritized product backlog is the outcome of this particular event. Okay. The last event is the sprint retrospective. As the name suggests, retrospective is something where you take a step back, you sit and you look at what has happened, you try to analyze what has happened, you try to take some learnings out of it for your future benefits and improvements, etc. So again, the sprint retrospective is a time-boxed event at the end of the sprint to reflect on how the sprint went and identify improvements for the next sprint. Purpose is inspect how the team worked together during the sprint and identify improvements to increase quality and effectiveness, right? It's again a time boxed, 3 hours for a 1 month sprint, shorter for shorter sprints. At the end of every sprint, it takes place after the sprint review. So the last sprint you have completed, you complete the sprint review and then you go for your sprint retrospective. Who attends? Development team, Scrum Master and product owners. Others may attend if invited. So again, people may be invited to attend this particular retrospective. Focus is on team's ways of working, processes, tools, collaboration and environment, and not the product or the individuals. Okay, so basically the idea is to find out what can be improved and not people can be improved or something like that. That is not the focus. Set the stage to create a safe environment and see the context, gather data, reflect on what went well, what didn't and why, generate insights, identify the root causes, etc., and areas where we can improve, decide what to do. Out of many learnings, which learnings are more important, prioritize the learnings, decide what to do, agree on specific improvements to try in the next sprint, and then confirm actions, thank everyone, and close the retrospective, right? Result is an actionable improvement plan that the team is committed to try in the next sprint, right? So now we have some actionable specific items which can be tracked for the improvement. Okay. Continuously improves the team's ways of working. The benefits like this builds trust, collaboration, and team ownership, increases quality and productivity over time, and helps adapt to change and inspect and adapt. Okay. Transparency, openly discuss what happened, inspection, honest look at how we work, adaptation, make improvements, and try better ways to work, right? So these are the objectives, and this is how the sprint retrospective works. Okay. So now that we have completed the sprint events, okay, Scrum events, we'll talk about some agile terminology, right? Now, this terminology is not specific to Scrum. Of course, Scrum being an agile model uses these terminologies, but these terminologies are typically used across all or many agile models. Okay, so we'll quickly have a look at them. A product backlog and sprint backlog. Here I will repeat, I will stop here, this sprint retrospective, and then I will now close the video here, and then the rest of the terminology, etc., I will take it in the next video. So sprint retrospective is a final act in the sprint planning or sprint life cycle. With this, now we will stop here for this particular video. We have understood Scrum as a model, what is the Scrum team, or what is the roles, what are the roles in the Scrum, and what are the different events in the Scrum. So now in the next video, we are going to look at what are the different terminologies across Agile, and what are the different documentations, etc., that happen in Agile. Okay. So with this, now we'll close this video, and thanks for watching the video. Do let us know how and what you feel about it, and if there are any questions, etc., and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Continue with the next video to keep building your project management knowledge, one concept at a time. And if you are ready to take the next step in your professional journey, explore Knowlathon's expert-led training programs, including PMP, Prince2, Agile, and many more. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.